Okay, so here's something you hear a lot these days, especially if you run a business or manage a team. No one wants to work anymore.
Right.
You've probably heard it. Maybe you've even thought it yourself,
Yeah.
particularly over the last, say, 5, 10 years.
Oh, definitely. It's a common frustration that we hear expressed quite a bit.
And it feels real, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, businesses genuinely seem to be struggling to find good people
Yeah.
and keep them.
They are, and a big part of why is that employees, well, they have options now. Really the absolute pick of the litter when it comes to jobs.
So they're just not going to bother with jobs that don't fit.
Exactly. They won't even apply, let alone stick around if a position doesn't match their values or the lifestyle they want or just, their life circumstances at that moment.
And it's interesting how this connects to something, well, much bigger, doesn't it? Beyond just the office walls.
It really does. When you zoom out, especially looking at the U.S., we're generally speaking sicker and tend to die earlier than people in other comparable wealthy nations.
Right.
And there is a pretty strong case to be made that our sort of rigid, traditional ways of working might actually be playing a role in that. It's tied into our overall well-being.
That's a huge connection. Linking how we work directly to, like, national health outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
So for this deep dive, the core idea, the mission, if you like, is that it's really up to employers now. The ball's in our court.
Yeah.
We have to change how we hire, how we manage, just to keep our businesses running well, running profitably.
Yeah.
But okay, how? What's the big shift?
Well, the central idea, and it sounds simple, but it's actually quite radical, is offering part-time roles,
Okay.
but paying them as if they were full-time roles. And crucially, offering much more flexibility and autonomy. That seems to be the key for attracting and keeping top talent.
Part-time, paid like full-time, with flexibility.
Yes. And it makes you question the basics, doesn't it? Like, why is 40 hours the magic number for full-time and 20 for part-time?
Yeah, where did that even come from?
These frameworks are literally over 100 years old, from a completely different world, a different economy.
It does feel like we're stuck on these old assumptions. It's a big thing to challenge, but maybe it's what's holding businesses back.
I think so. And there's a personal story that really brings home why this shift is so needed. It shows the real-world impact on people's lives.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so imagine this person, they become a single mom, needs financial stability, right? Finds a job they genuinely love, commits to 30 hours a week.
Okay, 30 hours, manageable.
You'd think so, but even then, to make ends meet, they were also running a freelance business and another side venture with their sister. So already juggling quite a bit.
Wow. Okay, so 30 hours wasn't quite enough on its own. That's a lot of plate spinning.
Yeah.
What happened next?
Well, after 2 years of this balancing act, the company basically said, we need more, and forced them into a 40-hour week role. Same job, same pay, just more hours.
Ugh, just arbitrarily more hours.
Pretty much. And this was pre-pandemic, remember? So remote work wasn't really the norm. Options felt limited. They took the job.
And I bet the impact was immediate. And probably not good.
Devastating is probably the right word. Sleep went out the window, eating properly stopped, skipping meals because of stress. Every single waking moment was either household stuff, parenting 2 young kids, or working one of the 3 jobs.
That sounds like pure survival mode.
Totally. Within weeks, just completely exhausted. And then physical symptoms started, an irregular heartbeat, something they'd experienced before when seriously overworked.
Oh, wow. That's serious. A clear breaking point.
Absolutely. And the realization hit hard. It wasn't just feeling overwhelmed. It was knowing they could earn more in fewer hours without wrecking their health. They'd done it before.
So they knew a different way was possible?
Yes. So after just 3 months of the 40-hour grind, they quit. They just couldn't sustain working 50, 60 hours a week as a single parent, especially with a child needing therapy 40 miles away just to barely scrape by.
Good for them. That must have taken courage, but it sounds like it lit a fire.
It really did. It created this powerful drive to build something different, create opportunities for people like them.
And the outcome, did it work?
Get this. Fast forward to today, that company they started with their sister. It's doing over $1 million in annual revenue.
Wow. With part-time hours.
Entirely. A small team, all part-time. The person from the story works maybe 20, 25 hours a week on average now. Teammates work anywhere from 10 to 30 hours.
And the pay. Is it sustainable for them?
That's the amazing part. They're earning incomes comparable to full-time roles in their fields, while still having time for their families, for themselves. They constantly say how grateful they are.
That's incredible. It really shows it can be done It's not just a theory.
Exactly. And it points to a massive opportunity for employers. This isn't just about being nice. It's about accessing this huge, untapped talent pool.
Underserved talent.
Yeah.
People who are missed by the usual hiring process.
Precisely. Millions of skilled people who are basically invisible if you only offer traditional 9-to-5, 40-hour jobs. Think about creating roles with fewer hours, maybe just 8 or 10 a week, maxing out around 32. That appeals strategically to this enormous group of people who want to work, need to earn, but just have less time available.
Right. So who exactly are we talking about in this untapped pool? Let's break it down.
Well, first up, caregivers. Huge group.
How huge?
1 in 5 U.S. adults identifies as a caregiver. That's about 53 million people.
53 million. That's staggering.
It is. And get this, 6 out of 10 of them. So, over 30 million people report having to cut work hours, take leave, or even getting warnings about their performance because of their caregiving duties.
So they need work, they want to work, but the structure just doesn't fit.
Exactly. Then you've got single parents. They head up something like 25 to 30% of U.S. households with kids under 18.
That's another 8 to 12 million people right there.
Mm-hmm. And people with disabilities, over 44 million in the U.S. Many want to contribute their skills but need different kinds of work arrangements.
And it doesn't stop there, does it?
Not at all. Think about primary parents and two-parent households. Maybe they've stepped back from careers. Retirees who want to stay engaged but not full-time, and maybe the biggest group now.
The lifestyle seekers.
Yeah, people just looking for more flexibility. That's been a massive shift,
Mhm.
especially post-pandemic. People value autonomy over their time much more.
So the appeal for these lower-hour flexible jobs is potentially massive across many different groups. But do companies realize the level of talent they could attract?
That's such a crucial question. Are they getting it?
Yeah.
I heard this great anecdote. A company needed a marketing coordinator. They figured, maybe 10 hours a week tops.
Okay, pretty minimal hours.
Right. They actually worried, will anyone even apply for just 10 hours?
Let me guess, they were surprised.
Florida's more like it. Hundreds of applications from all over the country, even internationally. And the caliber.
Not just entry-level folks.
Far from it. They had key marketing execs from Fortune 500 companies applying, people from major industry organizations. One applicant had literally written a book on marketing for a 10-hour-a-week coordinator role.
That's unbelievable. It just shows how desperate people are for roles that fit their lives, right?
It really does. They're starving for jobs where they can add value but still manage their other priorities.
So who did they hire? The author?
They did, the woman who wrote the book. And her story is just, wow. She and her husband became parents to 4 kids, basically overnight. Foster care and adoption, ages 0, 5 months, 3, and 4.
Oh my goodness. 4 little ones all at once? That's life-changing, doesn't even cover it.
Exactly. She instantly shut down her own business to just try and find some kind of new normal for the family. She wanted to work, needed the income, but thought, how could I possibly fit into a job until the kids are way older?
Makes total sense.
Then she gets an email about this, quote, weird hiring opportunity. 10 hours a week. She was so excited she apparently locked herself in the bathroom.
Uh-huh. The parent sanctuary.
Right. Texted her husband, kids okay, confirmed everyone was safe, and applied right then and there. I think many parents listening can relate to that bathroom strategy.
Absolutely. So she got the job.
Yep. And over the last couple of years, working just those 10 hours a week on average, she's helped grow that business exponentially, all built around her family's needs.
That's such a powerful example. It really hits home the kind of skilled, motivated people you can attract if you just rethink the standard 40-hour box.
It's a huge strategic advantage waiting to be claimed. So, okay, thinking about all this, what can employers actually do? What are the practical steps?
Right. Let's get actionable. If you're currently stuck in the traditional full-time, part-time rut, the first strategy is something called the smallest viable job.
Smallest viable job. Okay, what does that mean?
It means you take a role, maybe it has several distinct responsibilities, like, say, customer service and data entry. Instead of bundling them into one 40-hour job.
You split them up.
Exactly. Break each function out into its own separate role. Post them individually, even if one role is only, say, 8 or 10 hours a week.
Okay, I can see some managers thinking, that sounds like more hiring, more admin, just for 10 hours.
Yeah, that's the pushback. But here's the counter. If you find the right person for that focused 10-hour role, someone for whom it's a perfect fit, they're likely to stay with you for years.
Ah, the retention benefit. Less turnover hassle in the long run.
Precisely. That initial effort pays off. Plus, think about it. What could you or another team member do if you got 8 or 10 hours of specialized work off your plate each week? That's significant time freed up,
You can actually get a lot done in 10 focused hours. That's a good point. It shifts the focus from just hours logged to actual contribution.
which leads perfectly into strategy number 2, pay for value.
Okay, tell me more.
To really make this work, to attract and keep these great people, you need to compensate them well, pay them on par with what a full-time person doing similar value work would get, or simply pay for the results they deliver, not just the hours.
So, like, a 30-hour person gets paid like a 40-hour person, or a 15-hour person like a 20-hour person.
Nothing like that, yeah. The focus shifts. It's not just about time clocked. It's about the value, the outcomes, the contribution they bring to the company.
That's a fundamental mindset shift, isn't it? From paying for presence to paying for performance or value, empowering people.
Absolutely. And that empowerment links to the third strategy,
Yeah.
genuine flexibility and autonomy.
Flexibility. Okay, that's a buzzword, but what does it mean in practice?
Well, acknowledging that not every single job can be fully remote or totally flexible, the challenge is, how can you build it in? Maybe allow remote work a couple of days a week. Hybrid models.
Is there data on whether that actually works, or does productivity suffer?
Great question. There's actually strong research. A big study published in Nature looked at a hybrid policy working from home part of the week. Employee satisfaction went up, and quitting rates dropped by a third, 33%, especially for women and people with long commutes.
Wow, 33% reduction in quitting.
And crucially, there were no losses in performance or promotion rates. None.
Okay, that's compelling evidence for hybrid work at least. What about flexible hours?
Yeah, beyond just where people work, when they work.
Uh-huh.
If you need certain core hours for collaboration, maybe 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., fine. Set those.
But otherwise?
Let them choose.
Otherwise, trust them. Let them structure their work around school drop-offs, appointments, summer schedules, whatever works for them.
Trust your employees as adults to get the job done.
That trust piece is huge.
It is. And if someone isn't delivering, you address it with feedback, like any performance issue. But the default should be trust. And again, the research backs this up.
What research specifically?
Well, there's a graph from a European think tank, Autonomy. It maps working hours against productivity for wealthy nations.
And what does it show?
A really strong correlation. The nations working the fewest hours are actually the most productive.
Interesting. So less isn't necessarily less, it can be more.
Seems that way. And another point, a 2022 review looked at 7 different studies on working 32 hours per week. What were the benefits?
Consistently found higher employee satisfaction, much better work-life balance, people slept better, and reported less stress.
Better health outcomes, better work experience.
Exactly. And finally, a big 2022 Gallup survey asked employees what matters most for job satisfaction. The top 2 factors.
Let me guess. Pay.
Pay was number 1. And number 2, work-life balance.
Pay and balance. So if you can nail those 2 things, especially with these flexible, well-paid part-time models.
You're not just going to attract good people, you're going to keep them. You build stability, productivity, a stronger team overall.
So bring this all together. What's the takeaway for everyone listening? Whether you're running a company, managing people, or maybe even looking for a better way to work yourself.
I think the message is, you have a real opportunity here.
An opportunity to what?
To be a leader in what people are calling an employment revolution. Don't be a victim of these outdated structures from 100 years ago. Help build the new ones.
Lead the change, don't just react to it.
Exactly. And the payoff is huge. It's like a triple win.
Okay, what's the triple win?
1, you'll attract way better candidates. 2, you'll keep your employees longer, significantly reducing turnover costs and disruption. And 3, you'll likely see your profits increase because of that stability and productivity.
Attract, retain, profit. Sounds pretty good.
And that success then helps you reach your own goals, personal and professional, and it contributes to a healthier work culture overall. It's about designing work that actually works for people.
I like that framing. It leads to this idea the businesses of the future are human. They're not just treating employees like cogs in some old industrial machine.
They see the whole person.
Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you, the listener, to think about. Reflecting on all this, what's maybe one small shift, just one thing you could implement or maybe advocate for in your own workplace?
Yeah, what's one step you could take towards more flexibility, towards valuing contribution over just hours clocked, inspired by what we've talked about today?
It's a great question to ponder.
And we genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this. What ideas does this spark for you? What challenges do you see? Please share your opinions, your suggestions down in the comments section.
Yes, please do. We really value hearing from you. And hey, if this deep dive resonated, if you found it useful, could you do us a quick favor?
Yeah.
Give us a like. It really helps. And subscribe to the deep dive for more conversations like this.
Oh, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future explorations.
And maybe share it. If you know someone, a manager, a business owner, a colleague who might benefit from thinking about these ideas, please pass it along.
Absolutely. Let's spread the word and help shape a more human future of work together. Thanks for tuning in.